Okay, welcome to my 2019 playoff bracket predictions. Let's get started here with on the out west, Nashville versus the Dallas Stars. Nashville, of course, has one of the best defense in the league. Really mobile, really fast. They're a little bit deeper forward-wise after they picked up Wayne Simmonds and Brian Boyle from the Flyers and New Jersey Devils, respectively. But they're still like the worst. They still have the worst power play, even with Simmonds, in the league, which is crazy. And Pekka Rinne, he got the Vezina last year, but he's been leaky this year. So I'm a little concerned about that. The Dallas Stars have the second best goals against in the league. Bishop and Hudobin have been terrific. They've got a couple of great defensemen in Heiskin and Klingberg. They got arguably one of the top 5 lines in hockey with Ben Sagan and Radulov. The issue is their scoring. They can't score. There's no depth there. The X factor is probably going to be Zuccarello, who came back from injury recently. He was acquired from the Rangers. And of course, I want to say Rupe Hintz, who's had a good season as well. The X factor for the Predators has got to be their goaltending and their special teams. I would say, can Wayne Simmonds finally do something about that? But having him and Boyle in the lineup will definitely help in the playoffs. And the whole experience of that team, I've got to give that one to him. I would say maybe, hey, it could go, I would say around 6 games, give or take, either way. Winnipeg Jets versus the St. Louis Blues. Now, Winnipeg is a very big, fast, offensive team. That goes for the defense as well. Now, they're getting Morrissey and Bufflin back, or they got them back for injury, so that's a plus. Makes them even deeper at both positions. I think the question mark has been Hellebuck has kind of regressed a bit this year in net. Brossoit has been good this year as a backup. Then there's Laine. Laine hasn't been scoring. That could be a thing as well. St. Louis Blues have been the Cinderella story this season, like Vegas was last season, you could say, because I think they were sitting at last place at one point in 2018, and Greg Berube, the intern coach, really turned it around. Plus, Binnington, their goalie call-up from the AHL, has been terrific. He's up for a nomination for the Rookie Award this season. Can he continue that into the playoffs, though? And can this team, which is decently deep on offense and even on defense, can they continue the gospel of Berube against the Jets? The X factor there, of course, I still think is going to be Binnington. Maybe their depth on defense. The Jets' X factor is got to be Hellebuck and Laine. Laine's got to score. I got to give this one to Winnipeg, though. I think it'll go 7 games and it'll be dirty. Next up, the Calgary Flames and the Colorado Avalanche. The Calgary Flames are second best in the league in goals for, tied for it anyways. They also lead the league in shorthanded goals. They're up there in shooting percentage. They're the best team in the league in shot suppression. The issue is their goaltending, of course, which hasn't been, I want to say it's bad, but it's barely good. Riddick and Smith have had a roller coaster season between the two of them. It's been a 2-goalie system. Which one's going to step up? I believe they're going to start with Riddick. On the Colorado side, they have first half of the season they had the best first line in hockey, which is still arguably in the top 2 with Rantanen, McKinnon, and Soderberg, or Landeskog, excuse me. I always mix those two up for some reason. Now, Kerfoot, Renton was injured for a while, and Kerfoot played really well. Can he help their secondary scoring? Because they don't have much of it. The same sort of issue Dallas has. But Grubauer in net has really stepped forward. Varlamov hasn't been doing too well. Grubauer has really run with the net in the past, I want to say, month or so. He's been terrific. So that's an edge, definitely an edge over Calgary. I mean, the X factor here for Colorado is their depth offense. Calgary, it's their goaltending. I'm going to give this to Calgary. Next up, we got the San Jose Sharks and the Vegas Golden Knights. This was probably one of the toughest ones for me to pick besides Winnipeg and St. Louis. San Jose has got is tied for second in goals for in the league. They're also second to Calgary only in shots suppression, and they're up there in shooting percentage. But they've got the worst goals against in the league. Martin Jones and Aaron Dell have fallen off a goalie cliff and into goalie purgatory, and they've just stunk. Thank God they're good at shot suppression, because that's, probably, and they score a lot. It's the reason why they're in the playoffs. Vegas Golden Knights, they've obviously taken a step back from last season. They haven't been as tenacious. That smothering forecheck we saw, especially in the playoffs, it just has been hot and cold this year. Fleury hasn't been as good this year as well. We'll see if he turns into beast mode later on. And they have a whole second new line. They've got Pacioretty from Montreal, Stastny centering him, and then, of course, Mark Stone, who they acquired from Ottawa, on the wing. And for 10 games there, after Stone arrived, they were terrific. They look like they could go to the finals. Can they do that again? Can they turn it on again? I don't know. I don't know if they can. They have one of the worst shooting percentages in the league right now. That kind of scares me. With a team that deep, it shouldn't be going like that. I'm going to give the edge to San Jose reluctantly here, although I'd really like to see Thornton win a cup before he retires. Let's move out east. Let's talk about Tampa and the Columbus Blue Jackets. The only thing I can tell you about Tampa, might not already know, is they have three 40-goal scorers, and that last year they had one of the worst penalty kills in the league. They got a new special teams coach, and now it's tied for first. Interesting fact, Columbus is right up there with them, tied for best penalty kill. However, Columbus has one of the worst power plays. So it'll be a bit of a special teams challenge there. And Columbus has played really well down the stretch. Their goalie, Bobrovsky, has been terrific. He's got like 3 shutouts in the I want to say last 6 or so games. And they've got 6 or 7 20-goal scorers. Anyway, who am I kidding? Tampa's going to take this, obviously. It's just a question of how many. Can Columbus make it to 6 games? I'm really happy they went all in, but, I mean, come on. It's Tampa, right? It's possible. It's possible, just not likely. Now, Boston and Toronto here. This is a tough one. I'm a Toronto fan, if you didn't know that already. Boston has got the best first line in the league, Marchand, Pasternak, and Bergeron. The issue is depth. Although Krejci, their second-line center, has played a lot better this year. DeBrusk has continued his good play. So they have 2 solid lines. Their third and fourth there are a little suspect. Their goaltending, they're third in the league in goals against. Halak has been really good, but Tuukka Rask has been leaky, especially in the past month or so. I want to say he's been very hot or cold. Boston's really good without the puck, and they're also really good at with the puck when it comes to east-west passes. And then they're also good at limiting, I think they're the best in the league at limiting high-danger scoring chances. Chara right there with his long reach and everything. Even at 40, he's not quick, he's slow, but it doesn't matter. That reach makes up for it. McAvoy is good on defense. Krug is kind of Boston's equivalent of Jake Gardiner. He's a great puck mover and he's good offensively, but he's known to cough it up. Boston does have a good defense. I wouldn't call it the best in the league, but it's good. Toronto, we all know they've got the second best highest scoring team in the league right now. They picked up Tavares. They picked up Jake Muzzin. So they're better on offense and on defense. But you have to know, I believe they're special teams. I want to say Boston, by the way, is third in the league on the power play. That's no surprise. And Toronto is kind of, I believe they're 8th on the power play, and they're about middle of the pack on the penalty kill. Toronto's weaknesses, of course, lie. Frederik Andersen is a good goalie. He was even in the Vezina discussion at one point. But his last, I want to say since March or so, he hasn't been that good. Can he play really well? Can Austin Matthews play better against Boston in this playoffs than he did in last because he kind of disappeared? Can Nazem Kadri not do anything stupid? And can he put the nasty back in Naz? Because if I'm Babcock, I'm sicking him on Boston's first line to free up Austin Matthews and Tavares line to wreak havoc on the rest of the Boston unit there. So, I mean, Sullivan he outcoached Babcock last year as well. So there's that. I mean, they went 7 games last season. The logic says Boston's going to take this in like 6 games. I'm going to be all crazy here, and I'm going to say Toronto. I'm going to say Toronto takes this in 7 games. I could be very wrong, and I know Boston fans are going to be freaking out on me right now. That's just my gut. I think they're going to get over the hump. Next up, Washington Capitals and Carolina Hurricanes. Washington has lost Kempfy to injury for the rest of the season. He was playing with John Carlson. That's a bit of a blow. They've got their depth scoring is even deeper this year, so that's a thing. Can Holtby play the same way he did last season? We'll see. Can their defense hold up? We'll see how that works out with that loss on the first pairing. The Carolina Hurricanes, I mean, they're a plucky team. Brendan Moore did a really good job with them in his first season. Their problem is depth scoring, or any scoring for that matter, really. They picked up the offense in the last half of the season, and they can have that kind of swarming forecheck that Vegas has. But the issue might be in net. Although they've made a big improvement over Darling, Marzik has played... Oh, excuse me, kind of hiccup there. Marzik has played pretty well recently, and McElhinney has played well for the most part throughout the season. But who are we kidding, right? I mean, Washington will probably take this in 5 games, maybe 6. Next up, they got the Islanders and the Penguins. Barry Trotz knows the Penguins really well from him coaching against them with Washington for so long in the playoffs. And they've got the best goals against in the league. Robin Lehner and Greiss have been doing really well. Lehner's probably going to get the start, but they just don't score enough. Pittsburgh's got all the star power there. Murray is the question mark. And Pittsburgh's defense is actually probably better than it was last season. I'm going to give this one to Pittsburgh. This is another one that could go 7. Let's move back out west, and let's talk about Nashville versus Winnipeg here. Winnipeg definitely has a better offense, not quite as much on the defensive side, but the goaltending, I got to give this to Winnipeg. Calgary versus the San Jose Sharks. These teams are similar in so many ways. They're both tied in goals for, in shot suppression. Difference is Calgary is nowhere near as poor at the goalie position. So I'm going to give that to Calgary. Sorry, Joe. I wanted to see you all the way there. Moving back out east, Tampa Bay and Toronto. I mean, if Toronto's lucky, they'll take this to 6 games, I think. If they are even lucky enough to beat Boston, just like Boston would if they had beaten Toronto, either of those teams will be worn down once they hit Tampa. Washington and Pittsburgh. Washington looks like they have a better D this year. Pittsburgh looks like they have a better D. Washington looks like they have a deeper offense. That is so hard to pick. I'm going to be crazy here. And you'd think that it'd be, Washington wouldn't be as worn down as Pittsburgh either. I think I got to give the slight edge to Washington. I almost gave it to Pittsburgh. I think the Islanders might wear them down. And that would be the only reason. Otherwise, I might just give it to the Penguins. Moving back out west between Winnipeg and Calgary, I gotta say Winnipeg. They're not quite as deep offensively as Calgary. I think they're slightly deeper defense, even though Calgary's got Giordano. And I think the goaltending is obviously much better. Tampa, out east, Tampa and Washington. I think it's Tampa. Washington is going to be worn down after they go through Pittsburgh, and I think Tampa's learned their lessons. In the end there, really, at the beginning of the season, if I were to predict this, I might have picked Winnipeg. Tampa's just looked too good. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions on all this down below. I'm sure a lot of these seem crazy choices to a lot of you. Hit like if you like this video. Smash that subscribe button if you haven't already. And hey, if you happen to have any Hockey Geek friends, please don't feel shy about sharing. Thanks again, and I'll see you, wherever you are, soon.